Are you going to Facebook? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Man.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? All right. So we started now. You live. All right, everybody. So this is um this is the last Bible study with the generations, with the children. Change me, oh God. This is the last Bible study with the youth. I know my son Fajon is working. My son Gerard is working, and I think Gary Jr. is doing something like that. But we do have Jadori. Jadori, want to speak up? You always see it. Okay, so Jadori is always here. So Jadori is on the Avow Ministry one. So I know some of you might be viewing me with YouTube, and some might be viewing me from Gary Smith. But we're all going to be here. You can check on any platform. So Jadori, do you want to sum up? Kind of sum up all of the Bible studies from a generational point for you. Like, do you want to some questions that's kind of still out there for you? Your thoughts on anything? What has changed for you, if anything has changed? If there's any scriptures that you look at differently now, if there any thoughts you looked at differently now? Now that the Bible study, this is the last week of the Bible study for generational, bridging the gap between generational. Is there anything that you want to say? Nothing? So you didn't get nothing from the Bible studies? Nothing from the conversations? Nothing that you want to tell somebody else about? Okay. So so your whole thing for the Christianity, and I want to make sure that, because you keep going away from the camera, so I want to make sure that I get you or that I understand. You're saying that Christianity is complex and Christianity is difficult depending on what church you go to. Is that correct? You don't think it should be what? But how should it be then? Who should care more about your spiritual walk than you? But who? Wait a minute, wait a minute. You broke up. You froze. In school, you what? Okay, so once again, speaking from the generational point, and help, let me see if I can bridge this. What if you take the same principles and put it into the church? Why is it so hard to say, okay, well, in school is each man for himself, and in church is each man for themselves? Because nobody else can really tell me about my walk. Nobody else can really tell me about where I am in my journey. Just like nobody can really, they can see how smart you are in school by the grades and your tests and your GPA and stuff. But in the church, we call it a testimony. We overcome things. Man, I got hit with some real bad news and I didn't handle it the same way that I normally have it. Great, you got an A. Guys, hey man, I cut somebody out and I felt real bad, and I had to go back and I had to deal with some things. Okay, cool. You get a B. But at the same time, it's still progress, right? So what I'm saying is there's no difference from the way you're thinking about it in school. There's no difference from the way that you're thinking about it in the church. The pastor could be the teacher. Correct. Okay. But listen though, this is the thing that makes it work. In the world, one healthy person and one healthy person together makes a healthy couple, healthy relationship, right? Okay. A healthy, a healthy, I'm sorry, a healthy person with God is a healthy relationship. But this is the kicker part. A broken person, wait a minute, a broken person with God is a better relationship because now he can restore and now he can build. But listen, if you don't accept that thought, nothing else is going to make sense. But okay, you're right. It's who you're going to allow to be that person to help you. It's who you're going to allow that person to be. You're right. Everybody needs that person to help them go through life. It's who you're going to decide to allow to be that person. But okay, but stop though. This is you're right. You're once again. But let me say this. Let's change vocabulary for 1 second. In order to be a Christian, the only thing you have to do is follow Christ. That's the only thing. As simple as terms, right? Is to go to God, ask God for forgiveness, ask him to love on you, ask him to forgive you, restore you, all that good stuff. It's just that simple. It's not hard. It's really, it's nothing else. Say what? Listen, no. That's the problem. You cannot compare your walk with other Christians and what they don't do. You can't compare what they're doing compared to what you're doing. Your walk is your walk. And you can't compare that walk to anybody else's walk. And when your walk don't feel like it's going the right way, then you got to stand there and go back to the person who you walking with and say, God, you got to make it make sense to me because I'm fitting to lose my mind. It's not making sense to me. And then he's going to show you in the word. But you have to give it all over to him. And you have to say, God, I am here and this is me and this is where I'm at. Because if you go in there with the thoughts of the world, it's never going to line up to the things of the word. So that's why I keep saying, don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. You're exactly right. Using your example of the school, you can say the student is the sheep. The teacher is the pastor. The principal who's over the principal who is over the who is the principal who is over the teacher who is over the students is God, who's over the pastor, who's over the sheep. So once again, it's just that simple. It's not hard. That's it. Christianity is another word of saying relationship with God. That's it. It's not all this stuff that we add to it and all the stuff, all the churchy stuff that we add to it to try to make it more glamoury and gold, the more glitter, the more shimmery, the more shiny. All those things that we on earth and in this world do to make Christianity more appealing and more acceptable has ruined everything, because it's simplest put, it's just a relationship with God. Being a Christian is having a relationship with God. He's the only one that's going to be there. That's why in the word he say, I never leave you nor forsake you. But you have to believe that. So, okay, so once again, what makes you, once again, you are no different. Your generation is no different from millenniums, Gen Z, Gen X. Everybody have, listen, let me put it out there. Everybody have problem with the church. That's it. That's nothing new under the sun. Wait a minute, listen. Everybody has a problem with the church. Say what? Right. It's just that simple. So why do we ridicule people when you are in the walk with God? I don't understand that. Who ridicule people though? Christians. Stop. Wait a minute. Ridicule other Christians every Sunday. Listen. And they act like they're holier than thou, and then they leave the church. And what are they? Nothing but the same people you walk with every day. But listen though, you are right. You are 100% right. You're 100% right. Christians go at other Christians every Sunday. Christians in the church talk about other Christians in the church. Church people talk about church folks all the time. Listen, church hurt is the worst hurt of all, because once you are church hurt, you can't come back from that. Once you are church hurt by other people in the church, you can't come back from that. And it's only God that can restore that, because your faith in church is all gone. If you see the pastor do something wrong, then guess what? That pastor must not be a man of God. If him and his wife is arguing, all things, they might not be the perfect couple to go look at. The preacher's kids acting a crazy, catching them in and out of jail, got 50 million kids. Guess what? All those things are things that churches have dealt with for years. So it's nothing new. It's nothing different. Church people hurt church people. Church people in the church hurt other people. Sometimes the church people can be so churchy that they hurt other people that's not even in the church. Because the only God that some people see is the people that go to church. And they the bigger hypocrites than anything. But guess what? At the end of the day, we cannot focus on looking at what somebody else do. We can't criticize sister or brother so-and-so because they cussed everybody else out, but they supposed to be a Christian. It doesn't matter. I can't judge their walk. If you take the concept that the church is a hospital and it's for the sick, it's for the mentally insane, it's for the people that can't get right, it's for the people that's hurting, it's for the people that is sick. And even though you come to the hospital to get healed, it's the same thing you do with the church. In the same way people relapse, that would be the pastor. Hold on, but listen though. If that's your problem, then that's a walk with you. Then you got to go, just like you got 50 million when you go get a primary care doctor, when you go to Cigna, Cigna got 50 million doctors on there that accept their plan. And it's up to you, the individual, the person who's seeking the insurance, is to go and read the doctor's credentials. You want to see where their school, where they went to school from, how long they've been practicing, what they do, how many surgeries have they had. All that stuff is information. It's up to the individual before you go to, matter of fact, listen, I am a stickler for this. It doesn't change. The same way you're supposed to go, say what? But why is it backwards? God is the overseer. He's the chief. He's the person over the hospital. He's the person that's checking the doctor to make sure that the doctor is doing everything right. See, that's what I'm saying. See, if you can't see that that's the hierarchy and that the pastors are responsible to somebody, it's nothing. How if the wait a minute. Right. See, so one minute, because you get ready to answer your own question. And if God tells your pastor something, then you have to pray that your pastor is hearing from God. You have to make sure that the man of God or woman of God that you are under is hearing from God. You are exactly right. It's just like when you go into the doctor, when you go to the ER, you don't know what doctor you getting, you don't know how long they get, you don't know what nurse you're getting, you don't know what medication. Matter of fact, you go in there and you're telling them your symptoms. And when you tell them your symptoms, they give you a prescription based off your symptoms. Because the only thing they're trying to do is to manage or ease your pain. If you come in the ER and you got a trauma thing, then they go right into another area, right? But once again, the only thing you can do on this side is to pray and trust God that the person that's in charge of your life at that time is doing everything they got to do and have done everything they got to do. So you can't get so wired up about, well, I don't know if this doctor is really going to help me. You're not thinking that, because at your point, you just want to get healed. You just want the pain to go away. You just want to get your leg in a cast because it's hurting. And then you want them to give you some pain so that you won't have to feel the pain anymore. And at that point, the only thing you're doing is you're trusting the doctors in the ER. It's the same thing with God. When you walk into that church and you try to look for that perfect church home and you try to look for that perfect pastor, guess what? The moment that you stepped into that church, it became imperfect because we are imperfect. So we just have to trust that that God is leading us to a church or leading us under covering or connecting us with a ministry that is about his business. And then we start asking God for discernment. When you get there, you ask God for discernment. You ask God to show you things. And God is the type of God, he will show you. So until you can believe that, and if you're still trying to rationalize it, or is your generation trying to rationalize it like that, then it's nothing that's going to happen. Okay, stop. So once again, now you're adding something else. So let's talk about it. Once again, I didn't say nothing was wrong with that. So let's be very clear about it. Nothing is wrong with that. But what I want to clear the area is coming from a pastor point of view. Okay, from a pastor, we got to understand there's a business side to the church and there's a spiritual side to the church. Let's make sure we're very clear about this. Wait a minute, listen. If you don't want to listen to the understanding or get an understanding and say, okay, you know something, I got it. Doesn't matter. That listen though. Okay. Stop. But listen though. Once again, you ready? Listen, you're right. You know something? Let me tell you this. You're right about everything you just said. Everything you just said about the pastor, not the church, but every time when the pastor get out of line and he started pushing and priming the people, when the pastor get out of line and start pulling for nothing but for the money, when the pastor get out and do all this, listen, the pastor has a responsibility to God. He will get dealt with. You have a responsibility to leave the church. You can say, you know something? That church ain't for me because that pastor is not for me because I don't believe that pastor. Wait a minute. But listen though. Once again. But listen though. It's once again. I can't if you don't want to listen for the understanding or the explanation, then there's nothing we can go forward. But I want to make sure everybody understands this. Hold on, wait a minute. You hold on. You throwing 50 questions. I'm trying to answer them. Hold on. I'm trying to explain it to you. As a pastor, and as anybody that's part of a church in the leadership or on the board or anything like that, they'll tell you the business side of the church is because they have a building. They're legally into a contract for a building which has a lease that has to be paid, or they have a building with a mortgage that has to be paid. So that's where the tithes and offerings comes in. It helps with that. Georgia Power, the same thing when you walk into a building and you walk into the sanctuary and you see all the nice lights and all of the water running in the bathrooms. All those things come with a price. It comes with a bill. That's the business side of the church. The business side of the church has to pay the bills. That's the business. Wait a minute. Let me finish. That's the business side of the church. The spiritual side of the church, and why I tell people all the time, what you see on Sundays, that's the spiritual side. That's the praise and the worship. That's the preaching. That's the easy part, almost. That's the hard part that people don't see in the ministries is the phone calls that we get and the phone calls that we get on Monday and Tuesday and on Wednesday and all the special times that we have to, all of the times that we spend counseling, and those are all, once again, for me as a pastor, those are all the spiritual side. That's still a spiritual side because I'm still covering the people. Wait a minute. When it comes to the business side of the church, the business side of the church is saying, I still got to pay for this building. I still got to pay for the water. I still got to pay for the lights. So I still got to pay for the programs. I still got to pay the staff. I still got to. So at the end of the day, the business side of the church comes in with that. Now, how a pastor gets that money is flawed sometimes. the way that pastors go about it, the way they ask for money, the way they always look for the money, they always raising money. Those are sometimes are the bad ways that the pastors have. But there is a business side to the church because it's in a building that requires a lease or a mortgage. It has power. Georgia Power ain't giving it for free. Henry, go ahead. Okay. Once again, I'm gonna say it's very clearly. But listen though, it's not okay. Listen, if that's the way, I'm gonna say it again. If that's the way that you want to hold it, if that's the way that you want to view it, if that's the way you want to look at it, you have no. Listen. Okay, listen. Once again, I'm gonna ask you a question. You ready? Once again, I'm gonna say once again, I'm gonna say this, and once again, it's up to you if you want to, if you can grasp this concept. Okay, I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna say it again. You're exactly right. God will deal with the pastor who he says it. He said, "Hey, woe to the shepherd who scattered my flock or scattered my sheep." He's constantly talking about, "Hey, be careful and be watchful of false prophets." He also said, "Hey, everybody, in order to try this, try the spirit by the spirit." Listen, it's all kind of ways in the Bible, in this word, that God has said, "Listen, be careful about what you do to my people." It's clear. Now we got pastors that want to that don't want to deal with that. That's fine. We got pastors that don't want to teach that. That's fine. But guess what? At the end of the day, it still comes right back to what the individual is holding. It's still up to your mindset on how you choose to look at this thing. It's almost like, once again, I'm gonna say it again. It's your personal walk with God. When you go ahead. You can make this statement. Eugene, you go ahead and make a statement, and then I'll reread it, or would you want me to bring you onto the camera? Because we definitely can entertain it. This is what the Bible study platform is. You can definitely hit it on the schedule, hit it on it at any time. So my thing is, we have to understand as Christians, the only thing we are supposed to do is follow Christ. Wait a minute, and it's very simple. Listen, everything else, and I say everything else outside of that is is inspired or on the inspiration of God. And it's up to that individual. It's up to that individual pastor or the individual church or the individual bishop or apostle or whatever they call themselves. It's up to them to say, hey, this is what I believe God is telling me. And this is what I believe God is doing. And the thing is with that is, as a pastor, we have accountability, or we should have accountability about what comes out our mouth. And when we tag it and say, this is what God told me to tell you, we got to be very careful about that. Because if God didn't tell it, that means I'm putting something on you that you ain't even needed to be put on you. But I put it on you because, and then I'm either going to make God to be a liar. It's like I'm putting God in a situation. That's my mindset. I don't want to tell you what God told me to tell you if God didn't really tell me. And people that really know me, there, I tell them in a minute, listen, I don't know if I really want to tell you this. Matter of fact, I don't want to tell you this. And the people that I have counseled, I told them, listen, I hope I'm wrong when I say this because I don't want to be right. I don't want to be right. If God told me to tell you this, then I really want to be wrong, because if I'm right, that means you're now accountable, and now you have to know that God kind of got you, like now you are aware, and now you on notice. It's kind of like when they came back and told King Jehoshaphat, hey, listen, you're getting ready to go. You got some people that's getting ready to come for your head, and you got some enemies that's getting ready to come. You got some people tag teaming against you. And when he came and told King Jehoshaphat, he made a conscious effort. He could have said, hey, let's rally up, let's go do it, and we're going to meet him there. Or, once again, once it comes to you, you have the opportunity to do what you feel comfortable doing. And what he felt comfortable doing was saying, listen, I'm going to stand on what God told me. I'm going to fast. Matter of fact, everybody that's around me in my camp, we're going to fast so we can make sure we hear from God, take off everything. We're going to get naked and out of shame, and we're going to fast and we're going to pray. And then when we go, we're going to listen to God. And when they got to the place to where they're supposed to be in the battle, them two people had already got into a fight. And then they called that land of the land of treasure for short, because it's a technical term. But they went and got all the spoils and everything that was left between the other two people that was fighting. Once again, I think it was my brother was leaving a comment. I think he's typing in a comment. But once again, this Christian walk, and I keep saying it, let's not complicate things. You know, God is a very simple God. Listen, Jesus was a very simple man. I believe this. Jesus was a very simple man who lived a very simple life. He lived his 33 years, and I got to keep in mind, Jesus walked the earth for 33 years and only had 3 years of ministry. He only had 3 years of ministry. So for the first 30 years of life, he was still living life on this earth as a simple man. And he was still keeping the laws at that time. He was still living life. He was still doing things. Go ahead. What are they going to move to? Stop. Go ahead. But listen though. Okay, but watch again. Listen, I'm gonna say it one more time. I'm gonna keep going back to this because everything you're saying is correct. Everything you're saying is correct. But listen to the answer is it still goes right back to the individual themselves. That's what I keep listen. I can sit there and say, okay, how about this? Joyce Myers. I think her name was Joyce Myers or somebody. When Trump was in office or when they was doing something, she was saying a prayer and she was like, African angels come in from Africa and something. And I seen the clips and everybody went crazy. I'm like, oh, how does Joyce Myers say, she prophesying that Trump is going to be in office and, and that's what God told her. And now all of a sudden, guess what? Trump not in office. So did God not tell you Trump was going to be in office? Once again, that's up to the people who follow Joyce Myers, and that's up to Joyce Myers. And if I'm not mistaken, she then came back and said, hey, I made a mistake and I'm sorry. Whether that's good, bad, whatever, that's between God and Joyce Myers. Joyce Myers. That don't have anything to do with Gary Smith. That statement has nothing to do. Thank you, Paula White. I'm sorry, Joyce Myers. I didn't mess it all up. Thank you. See, once again, I'm so far removed from that because it had nothing to do with me. I didn't even know the lady's name. Joyce Myers, if you ever see this, I do apologize. But Paula White was doing all of that, all of this. And at the end of the day, guess what? That's between her and God. Has nothing to do with me. That's between the people who follow her are either going to be like, you know something? Maybe you're not seeing God, or maybe you're not hearing God, right? So at the end of the day, it's still between her and God. Nobody else on this land can judge that. Nobody else should criticize it. Say what? Once again, I'm going to say this one more time. If you want to be a Christian and you want to hold this Bible and you want to live your life according to the scriptures and you want to live right and you're doing everything according to what this word of God said. You ready? Listen to me. To go into a building, if this makes, because people don't understand other religions, and I think that what they believe is right instead of trying to, hold on. Because people don't understand people don't understand other religions and think that what they believe is right instead of trying to understand each other. There's only one God and no one walk is wrong. It's just the path they are on at that time. Exactly. So once again, that's the viewpoint. And that's why I said, listen, Latif from Roanoke and Dwayne Gray from Roanoke, and some other people from Roanoke, and it was a gentleman that followed Avow Ministries from Michigan. And so over the last week, since this has happened, they've been asking me to get some other religions on a call or on a Facebook type platform, and we're going to discuss that. Because what I think the common goal is, and I think what people fail to realize is that there is only one God. Now, hold on. Okay, so you saying there's not only one God. Okay, show me in the scriptures where there's not one God. because stop. But listen though, you don't. Listen. If you read the comments from last week and the week before, every time you say that, the other people in religions like Latif and everybody, they say, tell her it's still the same God. We still he's still God. He's still God. We call him Allah, right? So when they say it's only one God, it's still one God. I believe that my book. All right, hold on. Okay, so she got off. So listen, I want to make sure everybody understands something, okay? I really do. I really want to be clear about some things. Can I join it? Yeah. Just invite it. Let me see how I do it. All right. So I think I'm adding Eugene in. I think I am. You got a lot of feedback. You got some. You still got feedback. You got a Bluetooth in? You got too much noise in the background. Okay, you got a little bit of noise in the background, but we can hear you. How do what? You gotta mute everything. How do I do that? You on your phone? Do you have a laptop around listening to it too? Make the laptop quiet. Do somebody else in the phone? Do somebody else in the room with a phone on? Oh, I don't know. Yes, there you go. Okay, now we can hear you perfectly. Yeah. We just can't see you, but we can hear you. I did a Bible study last night online. Okay? Okay. Look at me for a second. Look at me for a second. And it's very, very important I tell you this. I get a lot from listening to you online. I take out the fact that we share the same last name and that you're my brother. Because sometimes people don't switch and get religion confused. They family and religion can do. She's talking to you like your daughter. She's not talking to you as a child of God right now. Right. So her views are not based on religion. It's based on her. He froze. Did he freeze up? Oh no, let's wait till he come back in. I think he's coming. I think where he's at, he might be. I think he's frozen. Okay, so I think he's breaking down. So let me be very clear about something, okay? Because I know people. This is some people's first time jumping in. If he mutes you, he won't be able to hear him. Whoever's there, Facebook watching, needs to mute their phone. Okay, he's on the earpiece. Okay, yeah, he got his taken care of, but he ended up freezing. So let me make sure. Let me make sure everybody understands. Okay, Jadori is my daughter. Gary Jr. is my son. Fajon is my son. Gerard is my son. The whole Bible study started from their point, from their generation, not from what their personal view was, but it was coming from a generational thing, right? So the way that Generation Z view God is different from the way baby boomers experience God, right? So hold on. I don't know. I think I'm. Okay. I think I got him on. Can you hear me? I can hear you now. And Jadori said your assumption is wrong. But go ahead. So what would you say? So the last thing I heard was something about a last name. It's child of God or something. Listen, I have to take out and be my brother because I have to believe that God is the people. Sometimes if you believe in God, God has given you the same thing that gave people in Jesus. It's still God. Right. So for me to question you instead of questioning with you. See, if you're learning, I'm learning everything you say because I don't know the Bible. I'm going to pay for saying it. Live, I don't care. First time, you know, listen, man. I'm also a guy that calls him up to twice. You feel me? Right. Okay? So don't y'all pray for me and also pray for my children. My children also have COVID-19. They did test positive? Yes, they did. Okay. See, last text and family text. Wait a minute. First of all, wait a minute. For the people who just joining in, this is my brother Eugene. He's in Virginia Beach. Okay. So, okay, but he's in Chesapeake, Virginia, and I'm here in Atlanta. This is my brother. So for you who don't know, this is my brother Eugene. I'm the oldest. I'm the older brother. No, but this is my brother. So go ahead, Gene. Whatever. This is for people who not only know the God to enhance their belief or their knowledge of the God. This is also for people who don't know the God and decided to pick your channel to learn from. But I will not learn from you having a personal conversation about religion. This is he's having with you. God begin to accuse him. So what I'm telling you is, I think you're answering every question. I think that we all need to learn more about the scripture that you have to present that tonight.
Hold on. They said, hold on, wait a minute. Wait a minute, hold on. Family can't be, somebody's telling you something. Family can't trust the brain. Okay, never mind. Comes a relationship with God. That's why we have to have the interrelationship Bible study versus a discussion. Okay, so, okay, I'm ready. I thought somebody was asking you a question. Go ahead.
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you confirmation because it took the years. So I can't get wrong because I'm in the same boat as she was.
Mm-hmm.
But once you move out of the boat and you grow mentally and you mature, doesn't matter the age. I'm telling her the only reason she's going back and forth is because you're her father. That's it.
Okay.
So when you respond, I've said some points that could be right, but when you only responding to what you don't think is right, you respond out.
Right.
I'm telling you, if you can continue on with the Bible study, I think that we and she will get a lot more from this tonight's session.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct. So once again, okay. So now, so my brother was online. Are you gonna stay online, or are you gonna go back off?
I'm gonna stay online. I've been on the whole time.
No. Are you gonna stay live with me now, or are you gonna go back? You may cut you off.
Yeah. Listen, I need to be seen. People need to see.
Okay. Okay. So listen. So once again, so the good thing is about the Bible study for the last month, and God dealt with me about this because I ran into some youth in the city where I work at, and I had a conversation with these guys, and these young people was, it was a seesaw effect to me because I was in the middle and I was around these young people, and you had some people that was kind of like still kind of street, kind of hood. If you look at them, you be like, man, you straight, hood. Let me crash my let me grab my wallet and make sure I still got everything. But when I stopped and talked to him at the little corner at the little corner store, whatever, these people, man, one of them, they had some testimonies. They was loving life. They was about God. They kind of knew who he was, and and then it brought up, so we had a conversation, and they actually listened. They was like, okay, so you're a pastor of a church, so let me ask you this. And the questions that they was asking me from a Gen Z is the same thing that I get from Generation X, from millenniums, from baby boomers. And it was tripping me out because I'm like, these are the issues of today's time. And it is a generational thing where the generation Z has everything available to them quicker. But it's not, but it's kind of one of the things that you have to